he is.
Welcome back. Rebooking the 90s, episode 11, our last week of TV before the big ones. And in your case, literally
The biggest. Not even just
one.
the big one. The biggest one.
The biggest one. Maniacs Mania, the biggest one. I cannot wait. One of the greatest pay-per-view names of all time. I think all three of your pay-per-views have had great names. And we're here.
Too. You know, I think that yours have been a little more traditional, maybe, but
Sure.
also very apropos. Rumble in the Bronx, I think, is one of my favorites. Great.
Very, very cool. Amazing movie. I feel like I need to rewatch that now.
I think
that was shot here in Vancouver as well.
I'm pretty sure it was actually. Yeah, I think that's true.
It was very, very fitting. So my pay-per-view, was Rumble in the Bronx, set in Malibu. The movie was shot in Vancouver. Just really
perfect. Oh, yeah, and that fits you up to a T. You know what I mean? If I was going to say one thing if one sentence could describe you in a short paragraph, I think that might.
It's all my favorite things in one sentence.
Exactly.
Sweet. So I can't wait to hear your big card for the paper. So is your card finalized? Is it? Are we going to hear it tonight?
You are going to hear it tonight. It is all going to be laid out in the matches and the setup, and then finally the full rundown of a Maniacs Mania, the biggest one.
Perfect. Well, we're going to be waiting because I'm up first this week, and I can't wait to lay out my card. I've been building this thing. I've been working towards it, and it's going to be. I hope the fans, the dozens and dozens of fans that listen to this show, are excited as I am for Worlds Collide.
Oh, definitely. They're going to be on the edge of their earbuds.
Mm-hmm. I mean, an insane amount of pyro at that show. Okay. All right. I'm up. Here we go. So Breakout episode 7, the final step on the ladder, the final chapter before we get to the main event, Worlds Collide. Here we are. Pyro going off like crazy once again. I won't even bother describing the pyro this week because it's just getting out of control. And the Ultimo Dragon makes his way to the ring as we begin the show. Tony Schiavone, Don Callis, Sonny, they welcome us from the broadcast booth. They announce that we have a huge main event tonight in our last step towards Worlds Collide. It's a huge 8-man tag team match. Stone Cold Steve Austin tag teams. There's a dream tag team here. He tag teams with the Macho Man Randy Savage, with Surfer Sting, and Bruiser Brody.
Jeez.
And they're taking on Bam Bam Bigelow, the Loose Cannon Brian Pillman, Gangrel, and Mortis from the Dark Alliance. Huge. Wow.
That's a huge
tag main event. Huge. Look at that babyface team. And we will, everyone's favorite wrestling trope. We got a contract signing tonight for the World Heavyweight title. Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero face to face tonight on Breakout. So Ultimo Dragon's in the ring. He's awaiting his opponent, and Doink the Clown creeps his way to the ring. He's got his bag of weapons, his Santa's sack full of weapons over his shoulder. Doink tries to attack Ultimo with the bell, but Ultimo escapes. He fires up, kicks to the legs, a big spinning heel kick. Doink powders out to the floor. Ultimo hits the ropes. He hits a big twisting dive to the floor. We cut to backstage. We see the entire Heenan family. They're in Ted DiBiase's private locker room. They're drinking champagne, and they're watching this match on the monitor. Back in the ring, Doink, he goes for the flying leg drop off the top. Ultimo moves out of the way, grabs Doink by the head, runs up the rope, slice bread number 2. He covers Doink for the 1, 2, and the 3. Ultimo Dragon, he's in the ring. He's celebrating. And we cut back, and Ric Flair is looking upset. He's shaking his head. He's looking upset in Ted DiBiase's office.
Well, I mean, like, he showed a good showing, but what do you expect from Doink the Clown? You're expecting Doink the Clown to be able to go part with someone the likes of Ultimo Dragon? One of the best in the world, you know what I mean? And nothing against anyone who portrayed Doink the Clown, but it just wasn't a technical expert by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he's getting out wrestled, and he wasn't able to use any of his weapons either, so he couldn't get the advantage. So we cut right back to Jim Cornette's office, and Doc Hendricks is with Jim Cornette, and Jim Cornette announces that at Worlds Collide, Ric Flair will defend the Intercontinental title against the Ultimo Dragon one-on-one. Huge Intercontinental title match.
Yeah,
official for Worlds Collide. We cut to commercial break. We come back, and we are again with Doc Hendricks. He's now backstage with Bam Bam Bigelow. And Bam Bam says he's not intimidated by Bruiser Brody. He's not afraid of him like everyone else in the locker room. And if he wants a clash of the Titans, we can do it. Also at Worlds Collide, Brody walks up and he stares Bam Bam down. They're just grunting and making noises. And Brody just nods his head in acceptance. And we're going to see these two later as part of our huge main event. Another huge match signed, a colossal match for Worlds Collide. If the ring,
like
let's see if the ring
versus another giant animal. Like seeing those two collide would be incredible.
Another mythical giant creature, you know. We'll see if the ring can even hold these two.
Totally.
So back out to the ring, the lights go out. Fire rises up from the entrance, and the Dark Alliance, they make their way to the ring. The Dark Warrior is in action one-on-one, and he's taking on Too Cold Scorpio. Scorpio immediately goes at the Warrior. He's trying to fire up, but the Warrior, he's got that newfound, that dark side power, and it's too much. Scorpio jumps to the top. He goes for a twisting crossbody, but the Warrior catches him, just hits a huge gorilla press slam. Yeah. Warrior hits the ropes. Big splash on Scorpio. 1, 2, and 3. And Scorpio is defeated by the Dark Warrior. The Dark Alliance is celebrating in the ring after a quick victory. We cut right to the back. Doc Hendricks is with Randy Savage and Sting, and they're watching on a monitor. They're watching the Dark Warrior celebrate with the Dark Alliance. And Savage lays out the challenge. Here we go. Worlds Collide. The 2 of us versus the 4 of them. Ooh, yeah. We don't care about the numbers. So it's going to be Randy Savage and Sting taking on the Dark Warrior, Gangrel, Mortis, and the higher power himself, Jake the Snake Roberts. 2-on-4. The baby faces, they don't care. They'll take them all on. And Savage turns to Sting and he says, the only way we can defeat the Dark Alliance at Worlds Collide is if you tap in to your dark side.
Oof. Gee, I don't know. I still think that they bit off more than they can chew. You know, like the Dark Alliance has gotten in Sting's head for weeks and weeks and weeks, and has the numbers up. And we're not talking about any slights in the ring. We're talking about 4 like great in-ring competitors: Mortis, Gangrel, Jake the Snake Roberts, and of course the Dark Warrior, who we just saw just annihilate Too Cold Scorpio, who in himself is a great contender. So
sure. And you know Jake the Snake's going to have tricks up his sleeve. He's a psychological 100%. Mastermind. Okay, 3 count makes their way to the ring.
Yes.
The newly formed 3 count. Disco Inferno, La Parka, Tiger Ali Singh. They're trying to do a choreographed dance routine, and it's awful. They can't get it together. Disco's leading the way, but La Parka, Tiger Ali's moves, everyone's out of sync here. It's a disaster. The Heenan family makes their way to the ring with Bobby Heenan. We got a big 6-man tag here. So it's Ric Flair, Crush, and Curt Hennig against 3 count. So Crush starts the match with La Parka, hits him with a big boot and a sidewalk slam. But La Parka is able to kick out at 2. Tiger Ali, he tags in. He's up against Curt Hennig. He tries to get some offense, but he's out-wrestled here as well. Hennig hits the perfect plex on Tiger Ali, but Disco breaks up the pinfall. Disco tags in. Ric Flair tags in. He's lighting up the Disco Inferno with chops. He lights him up. Disco cowers to the corner. He tags Tiger Ali back in. Tiger Ali charges. Ric Flair sweeps the legs, locks on the figure 4 leg lock, and Tiger Ali is tapping out. The Heenan family defeats 3 count. They're celebrating in the ring. Disco is not pleased with the performance of La Parka and Tiger Ali Singh. 3 count, not off to a great start in the ring or with their choreographed dance routine.
I'm kind of concerned. I have one worry. Are they able to dance after that figure 4? How much damage was done to the knee and to the legs of Tiger Ali Singh? Will he ever be able to master this dance routine? Will he master it in time for when Worlds Collide?
Exactly. We cut back to the cemetery. Not your cemetery.
My cemetery.
Not
your cemetery.
The cemetery D'Lo Brown was in either.
No, okay, no.
My cemetery. Jake the Snake is sitting on a Game of Thrones style evil looking throne, you know, with the swords and the skulls and all sorts of creepy stuff. Very the Dark Alliance, they're standing around him. There's smoke, there's snakes, there's snakes everywhere, all over the ground.
Yeah, see, those wouldn't be allowed in my cemetery. That's how you can tell it's yours.
Yeah, we got an animal budget here. Jake, he's so happy he's gotten into the heads of Randy Savage and Sting, and the Dark Alliance, they accept the challenge for Worlds Collide. Jake can't wait. Back in the ring, number 1 contendership for the tag team titles. It's Rob Van Dam and Sabu against Jushin Liger and Hayabusa.
Jeez, what a match.
Huge match. Another, these teams have been at it a couple times. Very competitive. They got a real back and forth feud. We see High Impact in the back. They're watching on the monitor. That monitor's getting a ton of use tonight to see who they're going to wrestle at Worlds Collide. So a big high flying spot fest between these rival tag teams. Van Dam flies off the top for a 5-star frog splash on Hayabusa, but Hayabusa moves out of the way. Liger charges in. He crossbodies Van Dam. They both flip over the top to the floor. Sabu charges in. He dives over the top rope for a front flip dive onto Van Dam and Liger. Hayabusa heads to the top. He hits a shooting star press from the top rope to the floor onto everybody on the floor. Insane.
Pulling out all the stops.
All the stops. They want that tag team title match. The crowd is going nuts. The ref, he's counting. He gets to 8. Liger goes to slide back in the ring, but Van Dam catches the leg, pulls him out, and they just start slugging it out on the floor. And the ref hits 9 and 10, and it's a double count out. I don't know if we've ever had a double count out here. Both teams have been double counted out. The ref, he says it's over. He throws the match out. What are we going to do?
Does that leave us with the number 1 contenders?
What are we going to do? We're cutting back to Disco Inferno's dance studio. He's yelling at La Parka and Tiger Ali. He's not happy. And in walks Too Cold Scorpio. He's holding his head and his neck. He was beat by the Dark Warrior earlier, but he's laughing. He's still laughing at the Disco Inferno. Too Cold Scorpio he's a much better dancer. And Disco gets in his face. He says, if you're such a good dancer, how about we have a dance-off? Scorpio says, I don't even want to dance off, but I would love to punch you in the mouth. And we cut to commercial break. So back out at ringside, TL Hopper makes his way to the ring, and he's got a bouquet of flowers. Ooh. And he walks up to Sunny at ringside. He delivers the flowers. It's a beautiful moment. She's blushing. She can't believe it. A real cute gesture from TL. He's real sweaty. He's so nervous.
He's always sweaty, though.
Yeah, he's twice as sweaty as normal. Buckets
is dressed up nice.
He's got a little bow tie. Like he still has his plumber outfit on, but a little bow tie on. And out of nowhere, he's attacked from the side. It's DiBiase and it's IRS. They jump TL. They're beating him down. Sunny's screaming, "Get off of him! We don't hurt him! Don't hurt him!" She's got the flowers. She's hitting DiBiase with the flowers. And they're beating him up at ringside. They're stomping him. IRS hits him in the head with a briefcase. Wow. Goldust races down to ringside. DiBiase and IRS, they run away. Goldust is helping TL up. And we cut back to commercial break. Unbelievable. And an assault on TL Hopper, ruining his moment with Sunny.
And there's no need for this, too. They've got to put their eyes back on the tag team titles. You know what I mean? They're not even, There's no need to bother with TL Hopper or Sunny. Let them have their love. Let TL Hopper live. Be happy, you know?
Yeah. They already cost him the tag team titles. Have they not cost him enough?
Exactly. You know, you've humiliated them time and time again. They've got their champagne fountain. They've got their golden toilet. Go sit on the toilet and drink some champagne.
Yeah. Go hang out with Ric Flair and the Heenan family. We're back in Jim Cornette's office. Hayabusa and Liger, Rob Van Dam and Sabu, they're in Cornette's office. High Impact also in Cornette's office. Both teams were counted out earlier. We couldn't decide a number 1 contender. Cornette says, you know what? We need a tag team title match at Worlds Collide. That's one of our most important titles. We only have 3 titles, but they're all very important to me, says Cornette. So both teams they both deserve title shots. They've both been dominant in the tag team division. Cornette says, you know what we're going to do? 3-way ladder match.
Oh, wow.
At Worlds Collide. Rob Van Dam and Sabu, Hayabusa and Liger, Edge and Jericho. 3-way ladder match. Unbelievable.
Totally.
Ladder match signed for Worlds Collide. I can't believe that.
The high spots in that match are going to be nuts. The amount of ladders they're going to need, the amount of Band-Aids they're going to need afterwards.
Man, it's going to take me an hour to write that match. Okay, we're in the ring for the contract signing. HBK makes his way down to the ring. He's got the title belt over his shoulder, a dominant world champion. Eddie Guerrero heads to the ring. He's on a yellow lowrider this week. And Jim Cornette is in the ring. We got a table set up for the contract signing. They both sit down. They're facing each other. HBK says he's the pride of Texas. He's the showstopper. He's the main event. And just like Clash of the Champions and Rumble in the Bronx, This third pay-per-view, it's going to end the exact same way as the first two did, and that's with HBK holding the title up high. Eddie says he's worked his whole life for this match. He's put all the blood, sweat, and tears in, and now it's time to bring the title to the Guerrero dynasty. Eddie stands up. He leans in. He signs the contract, and he's leaning over, and he says, he'll see you at Worlds Collide. And Shawn stabs him in the eye with his pen, right in the eye. Right. And Eddie's eye is gushing blood.
I did not see that coming.
He falls to the ground. Shawn flips the table over. He jumps on Eddie. He's punching him in the eye. He's just on top of him, laying him in. Eddie's bleeding all over. He's a crimson mask. Shawn, he picks up the pen. He rubs it in Eddie's face to get some blood on it, and he signs the contract in Eddie's blood.
Wow.
He grabs that
Shawn I've never seen before. That is vicious.
Unbelievable. He grabs the title. He's got the bloody contract. He walks up the ramp. He's holding up the title in one hand, the bloody contract in the other. Eddie's pulling himself up on the ropes. He's freaking blinded in one eye. There's blood everywhere. And this just got real, personal between Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero. Okay, we're back. We got the huge main event. It's up next. But first, the announcers run down the final rundown of the card for Worlds Collide. The pre-show, freshly signed pre-show match, a warm-up match, huge match. It's Too Cold Scorpio versus the Disco Inferno. With 3 count at ringside on the pre-show.
So dance off, not dance off?
It's just a match. Scorpio turned down the dance off. He wants a fight.
Perfect.
Disco probably would have preferred a dance off of some kind, but looks like a fight. I'm sure there could be some dancing involved. On the pay-per-view, Intercontinental title, Ric Flair with the Heenan family at ringside defends against the Ultimo Dragon. We have a Hollywood backlot brawl signed last week. It's Goldust and TL Hopper against DiBiase and IRS. We have an appearance from Ross and Rachel.
Ooh.
Jennifer Aniston, David Schwimmer live at Worlds Collide. How will they be involved in this pay-per-view? Just signed tonight. Tag team title match. It's a 3-way ladder match. It's high impact. It's Hayabusa and Liger, and it's Rob Van Dam and Sabu, the spot fest of the century. Jeez. It is Bruiser Brody versus Bam Bam Bigelow, Clash of the Titans.
With the reinforced ring.
No disqualification. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Brian Pillman, finally 1-on-1. We have a 2-on-4 match. It's Sting. It's the Macho Man Randy Savage taking on the entire Dark Alliance. And of course, our main event, the world title. Shawn Michaels defends against Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. That's a hell of a card, man.
Totally. And if Eddie can pull it off, it's 6 days away and he's got one eye, it looks like, He's going to really need to dig deep. And we've seen Eddie dig deep before with the hurt leg before from Ric Flair and battling through 22 men or whatever it was that night. Yeah, we've seen them, like how much tenacity he has, but he's going to have to dig into that well one more time.
Sure. Maybe he'll even have an eye patch.
Ooh, that'd be kind of cool.
We'll see. Okay, it's time for the main event. Big 8-man tag. The lights go out. Gangrel and Mortis. They make their way to the ring with the Dark Warrior and the Higher Power. Jake the Snake. Bam Bam Bigelow, he follows. And the Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman, makes his way to the ring. What a ragtag group of villains here. Randy Savage and Surfer Sting make their way to the ring together. Pomp and Circumstance is playing. Bruiser Brody comes out to a huge reaction. He's swinging his chain. And then the glass breaks and Stone Cold Steve Austin makes his way to the ring. The crowd absolutely explodes. They literally blow the roof off the place.
I have no doubt. The
roof shoots into space.
Shoots into space. Some of the chairs just like erupt.
Yeah. Some of the fans just spontaneously
they just spontaneously combust into confetti.
Yeah, exactly. That's more pyro. So the baby faces, they just charge into the ring, and all 8 men, they just start brawling. They're brawling. Austin, he throws Pillman over the top. They're fighting on the floor. Extra officials run out. They're trying to restore some order here. This thing is broken down, just days away from Worlds Collide. Eventually, they're able to kind of split the 8 men up. Surfer Sting, he starts in the ring with Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam takes advantage of the big power slam. The heels, they put a quick heat on Sting. Sting fires back up at Gangrel. He hits a stinger splash in the corner. He makes a hot tag to Steve Austin. Austin fires up. Lou Thez press, but he's attacked from behind by Brian Pillman, who smacks him in the head with the cane.
Ooh.
He attacks him with a cane, and the ref disqualifies Brian Pillman. The heels are disqualified. This is a disqualification in the main event. Everyone runs into the ring, and another huge brawl breaks down. Bruiser Brody, he clotheslines Bam Bam over the top rope. Now they're fighting on the floor. Bam Bam grabs a chair. He just throws it at Brody's head, momentarily stunning him. Bam Bam picks him up over the shoulder, running power slam through the announce table.
Oh, man.
Just it explodes.
I'm sure everyone could feel that in the building, too, the weight of that hitting the ground.
Man, Sonny luckily got out of the way before that exploded.
How she moved her flowers?
Surfer, Sting, and the Dark Alliance, they're brawling on the floor. There's officials are back out there. They're trying to break this thing up. This is a disaster. Whoever booked this match should be upset with themselves. Jim Cornette. Randy Savage climbs to the top rope. He hits a flying crossbody onto everyone on the floor, takes them all out. Officials, I'm sure there's extras.
Oh, yeah.
Local talent.
Yeah, I'd hopefully get I'd love to get sign on for this if I could. Maybe.
Sure.
I'll send my stuff into you next season.
You got a $200 payout.
Sweet. Some catering.
To do some catering. Had to pay $150 for your own blood testing in advance.
Perfect.
We're back. We're still in the ring. Austin and Pillman, they're slugging it out. Austin kicks him in the stomach. He goes for the stunner, but Pillman shoves him off and he escapes under the ropes. And Austin just stands in the ring. He's staring down Pillman. Pillman runs away through the crowd. He's staring down out in the crowd. Chaos at ringside here. It's broken down, and we fade to black in our last show before Worlds Collide.
Wow. That 1,000-yard stare by Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of the most terrifying things in the world.
He's kind of doing this one. He's tapping his watch like your time's running out, pal. Tick tock this Sunday, Brian Pillman.
What was Pillman's plan the whole time? He's just been getting under Steve's skin. Thinks that he knows him so well. Like, how could he think that this is going to end well?
Well, now it's time to pay the piper. Now it's rent is due. Okay, Pillman has gotten in Austin's head for the last 3-4 months, and now he's going to have to just be standing, across the ring from him with the rattlesnake, a pissed off rattlesnake, and there's nowhere to go this time. It's no disqualifications.
One thing you don't want to do is piss off a rattlesnake, I tell you.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fantastic. That card was shaped up to be one hell, and like everything coming together, like your dominoes are all falling into place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
I can't wait. Here we go. Stoked for your show.
All right. So we start off in a tiny, tiny office with Raven and Roddy Piper behind like one of like the smallest desks, like a child's desk. We're running low on merch or money. We're gearing up to a Maniacs Mania. We're saving up on our funds. We don't have much money here. We're saving up. It's on a budget. Mm-hmm. So Piper and Raven are behind this tiny desk. Obviously, tensions are still high from last week. They've been trying to work on the same page since the beginning of this show. They were enemies to start with. They've been sent off to grow a bond to make this work, and they're still at each other's throats the whole night. So that's what we start off with, them just kind of bickering over this tiny desk. We go into our first match. We have the Hearts versus the Dudleys in a no disqualification match.
Which Hearts is it?
This week we've got Jim, we've got Brett, and we've got Owen with Ross at ringside. Versus the Dudleys, which is Spike and Devon and Bubba Ray. Booker T nowhere to be found.
Oh, Spike is back with the Dudleys.
Spike is now back with the Dudleys.
They've made up. Okay.
They've made up. It was time. They decided that blood was thicker than water. Spike is he shouldn't take him back. You know what I mean? He's always the one making the excuses for his other brothers treating him like crap. But they're back, and now we're here for a family feud night. We start off with Bubba Ray and Bret Hart in the ring. Bret Hart is on the offense, hitting classical technical moves, Russian leg sweeps, hitting dropped holds, and eventually just really working over that knee. Bubba Ray's able to tag in Devon. Devon comes in like a house of fire, is able to break the eyes of Bret Hart, start taking a bit of a heat on Bret. Bret is got the heat taken on him. Finally, they're taking in Spike. Spike is no match to the excellence of execution. Spike goes to pick up Bret for a suplex. Bret just snaps suplexes Spike right out of his boots, literally right out of his boots. They're still
shoots his boots, right?
Yeah, his boots are still there on the mat. There's smoke coming out of them. Bret makes the long crawl over, tags in Owen. Owen comes in with a spinning heel kick for each one of them on all three. Boom. They spill to the outside. They go to run up the ramp, but they get met there by Ross Hart, who has none of it. He's there just with his arms crossed, which sends the Dudleys back towards the ring. At that point, Owen comes charging through the ropes with a big suicide dive.
Ooh.
Brett's on the apron. Jim's on the inside. Looks at Jim. Jim goes for it. Brett pulls, slingshots Jim out. Big shoulder tackle over the top rope onto all the Dudleys. Knocks them down like a bunch of bowling pins. Gets in. Jim gets tagged in. Sets up for that big heart attack on Devon Dudley. Boom, hits the heart attack. 1, 2, 3. The hearts go over. Just at that point, though, running down the apron, come the Hardy Boys, because they, too, are brothers, and they want to be part of this feud. They come down. They say this can only be settled one way, to find out who the greatest brothers in this wrestling and protest pro wrestling are, and that is with a family food fight. And that family food fight is happening this Sunday at a Maniacs Mania, the biggest one. So That's our first match made. We're seeing the Hearts. We're seeing versus the Dudleys versus the Hardys to see who is the ultimate family of protest pro wrestling.
In a food fight.
In a food fight.
Wow. Now, is that like a match that involves food, or is it just they're throwing food at each other and it's not a real match?
Okay, so yeah, I hope you'd ask that question.
What are the rules? What are the rules around this food fight?
Everyone's bringing their favorite dish. It's kind of like a potluck. So all families will bring their favorite dish, and then we'll kind of in the ring. It will be a match, but you will also be able to use whatever kind of food that you've brought. You won't be able to use your opponent's food, but you'll be able to use your food. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now, sorry, I got a lot of questions about this.
No, it's fine.
So each family can bring one dish. So like the Hearts would have like a signature, like, Stu used to make this for dinner or something.
Exactly. Like a stew, for example.
Like a stew, the famous Stu Hart, the Stu Hart.
Yeah.
Stew. Yeah. That's great. I figured Ross would have maybe like a peach cobbler or something like that.
Yeah, no, that might make sense. One time, actually, I helped Ross move, and it was like the very end of the move, and so he moved everything out of his fridge already, but he wanted to offer me something, and all he had was a ham and jam. So he made maybe a ham and jam sandwich, and it was one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my entire life. But I still ate it, and I ate it with gratitude.
What flavor of jam was it?
I believe it was like a strawberry, like a Welch's strawberry jam, and then just like a round piece of like maybe it was even bologna or something like that. It was bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? Like that.
That makes it a lot worse. Yeah.
No, that's not good. Not good. But yeah, so everyone brings their own signature dishes. So I don't know. I'm interested to taste all of them, to tell you the truth. And you got to think that, like, be strategic. Right? You will maybe something with bones might give you something to use, like to clobber somebody with, like a big drumstick. You could hit somebody with in the match.
Something in a big pan or something you could use to.
Totally, right? Like even the stew could be very hot, right? And all of these are like totally legal. So that's a big match coming up.
You could do maybe a creme brulee, and you could have a little flamethrower for the top of it or something. You could just set somebody on fire.
Totally, yeah. Just throw creme brulee in their face, or something that they really hate. Like it could just be it could be a ham and jam sandwich. That could be, you could find out that like Devon could have a peanut allergy that none of us know about at this moment, and it could his whole throat could swell up, and this could just end everything real quick.
Wow.
We're going into our next set of matches. These two next sets of matches are build up from the last couple of weeks. Our first one, we're going to see Kane taking on one half of our tag team champions, the Flat Earthers, in Bob Harley. You got to remember last week, Kane and the Giant dumped the hot sauce on Bob Harley and Arn Anderson, humiliating them. So after they had just ran away from that brutal beating from the Hearts. So tonight we have Kane versus Bob Harley. Bob Harley's a strong man, big man, looking jacked to the gills, looking like when he came back and he had that match versus Rob Van Dam, he got that big cut down his back, and he was just just huge. But Kane doesn't care. Kane's got both sleeves on tonight. He's not taking no for an answer. He comes into the big red machine, just starts laying the boots to Bob Harley, picks him up, big snake eyes on the ropes, big boot, climbs to the top rope for that signature clothesline. Arn Anderson grabs his foot. Kane's able to kick him off, but just at that point, Bob Harley climbs to the top rope, big superplex onto Kane. Looks like they both came down pretty hard. Kane starts selling that neck, really looking like he's got some damage done to it. Bob Harley notices that, starts taking advantage, locks in a big sleeper hold, starts working that hold until Kane finally gets up and rushes him back in the corner, squishes him in the corner with his back, hits him with a big running clothesline. Bob Harley feeds out, choke slam, but that's not enough. Comes up, big tombstone pile driver. Kane over in our first of 2 matches. Kane stays at ringside. Bob Harley's there selling his neck. Kane's neck still sore at ringside for our next match, which is Arn Anderson versus the Giant.
Ooh, the other half.
The other half of these two. Arn Anderson, too. He's looking burly. He's looking like the scariest gym teacher that you've ever seen in your entire life. He's whipping off Kane, or he's whipping off the Giant, and he's able to hit that big spinning spine buster on the Giant, one of the biggest ones ever. The ring buckles under the weight of both of these giant men. Arn Anderson looks like he's going to go to the top. Looks like he's going for a big knee drop. Giant's able to move out of the way at the last second and catches him with the choke slam. Looks like the 1, 2, 3, but the referee gets pulled by Bob Harley at the last second and gets something whispered in his ear. The referee slides back in. Giant hits him that second choke slam for a 1, 2. The referee stops short, looks at Giant big right in the eye, and undoes his collar of his shirt. Slowly takes off. You can't rip this shirt because we are on a budget. Takes off his shirt and exposes that he is wearing the Flat Earthers t-shirt underneath.
No.
Giant turns around into another big spinning spinebuster from Arn Anderson for the quick 1, 2, 3 from our crooked ref and the latest member of the Flat Earthers. So now they've got a ref in their corner, in their pocket. This has got to piss off the Giant. Got to piss off Kane. No hot sauce in sight. They were trying to play things by the books tonight, not bring hot sauce into play.
Is this like who was the ref in WWE that was like a QAnon conspiracy guy, Drake Wirtz or something like that? Is that who this is? He's probably a flat earther, right?
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly. So, words into his mouth, but you know what I mean. He wants a role at Protest Pro Wrest. He's very welcome, most definitely.
Sure.
Not that I would really hire him for a job. I think he has some interesting opinions, so I probably wouldn't. But in this hypothetical world,
right?
Oh man, we've got enough in our budget just for him.
Hey, my roster is mostly Dark Side of the Ring members, so
yeah, no, definitely, yeah. These shows would be canceled before they started, 100% of the time.
Yeah. We'll leave people's pasts out of this fantasy league.
Yeah, canceled pro wrestling. Yeah. All right, then we go into our next scene. We see the screen, and it opens up on that heart monitor that we recognize from the hospital, beeping, beeping, beeping. We see D'Lo Brown lying in that bed, still in the same shape he was last week. His family's not there anymore. We see so many roses and flowers and teddy bears and gifts of condolences towards D'Lo Brown for the situation he's in, but he looks alone. The room looks dark. Fades off, and we see Booker T backstage thinking, pondering about something, when he sees something out of the corner of his eye, and it's like when like Obi-Wan Kenobi would appear, you know what I mean? And there he is, a vision of D'Lo Brown coming to him from the other side. D'Lo Brown, as we can remember, has feuded with Booker T in the past, was part of the reason that Booker T turned to the dark side, was part of the reason that Booker T thought that maybe that was a path for his success, but he learned that wasn't for him. And at this point, we see D'Lo Brown come to Booker and tell him that all along he was testing Booker, and this is what he wanted. He wanted to push Booker to this point where he had to question himself, where now he had to make the choice, not the choice for glory, not the choice for evil, but for the choice of what was right. And at that point, Booker T knew exactly what he wanted to do. And he marched in to that small office that barely got enough room for the 3 of these big men, Raven, Roddy Piper, and Booker T. They're all having to stand kind of sideways because this room is so tiny. And Booker T says he wants his match. He wants his match tonight against The Undertaker in the main event.
Nice.
So we're going to see our main event tonight is Booker T versus our champion from a couple weeks ago, The Undertaker.
Huge.
At this point, we see backstage, we see Abe Lincoln. But Abe Lincoln's looking like we've never seen him before. He's got a big fur coat on, a big white, fluffy fur coat on. He's got gold glasses. He's got chains around his neck, and he's sitting around with he's got Miss Elizabeth beside him. He's got Head beside him. He's got Bull Nakano. He's got Luna. He's got every female. Remember, China's there, but looking like not impressed. Every female member of our roster is there, and he is talking a big game about how he is the biggest player in Protest Pro Wrestling. Quite a change of pace that we've seen now that Abe Lincoln has gotten control of the hat once more. The ladies all seem in awe, except for China, whose back is turned. As he goes to put on his hat, they all want to see it. He says, "I'm going to do it for you, ladies. Just going to do it this once, what you all came to see." Goes to put on the top hat. Boom. Covered in baked beans. Baked beans come pouring out of the hat, humiliating Abe Lincoln, ruining his brand new white fur coat in front of all the ladies. When we hear from the back, "I'm buff, I'm buff, and the ladies just can't get enough. I got the stuff, and the ladies just can't get enough." Buff Bagwell walks through, picks up the hat, shakes it off. Abe Lincoln is just beside himself. Can't even move, like paralyzed by anger. Buff sticks out his arm. Liz grabs onto the arm, grabs Head. They walk off. Abe Lincoln vows revenge, says, "You know what? That's it. It's coming down to a Maniacs. Mania is this Sunday, and it's you versus me, hat on a pole match."
Oh.
Yeah.
Will there be baked beans in the hat again, or will it be empty?
There's so much food. We're sponsored by Kroger's, so that's actually where a lot of this food is coming from. So yeah, basically it's going to be a lot of food. It's going to be a delightful night.
I like that when Abe picked the hat up to put it on, he didn't realize it was full of baked beans until it was too late. It was too late. He was, that's great. I love it.
All right, then where are we here? Boom, 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 boom. We have a fatal four-way now for one half of the number one contenders for the mid-card Masters match at a Maniacs Mania. We've got China versus Tajiri versus Luna versus Muta in the ring. China and Tajiri are taking control of the match at the beginning. Luna gets her point in there. She's a wild woman coming out like a Tasmanian devil. Starts chewing up everybody, and Muta's able to hit the mist on all of them except for Tajiri, who was able to duck and then hit the mist on Muta. All of them are down with their eyes out. Tajiri goes for spinning head kicks on China. China ducks. Goes for that spinning head kick on Luna. Luna ducks, and then is able to land it on Muta. Goes for the pin. 1, 2, big kick out. He sells around into a big low blow from China and a pedigree. 1, 2, 3. China is one of our number one contenders going in to the Maniacs Mania for the Mid-Card Master Championship. Our next match, Bull Nakano versus Luther for the other half of the number one contenders for the Mid-Card Masters Championship.
Right.
Both people, they walk into the ring, they go toe-to-toe. This is going to be unlike any match you've seen before. These two are unorthodox. Instantly, they just start screaming in each other's faces. It's almost like a scream-off for a moment. They both hit the ropes, double shoulder block, no one goes down. Go for it again. This time they do-say-do, and then they hit the ropes again. Boom, again, double tackle, nobody drops down. These two are matched so evenly that they decide that they shouldn't fight anymore, that they want to both disqualify themselves, and they want to go into that match and be three-way for that championship.
Okay.
All right. So we've got not only does Luther and Bull Nakano are starting to see eye to eye, which we've seen again from Luna in the past with Bull Nakano, but Luther and Bull Nakano have decided to pair up. They're going to go on against China for the Mid-Card Masters Championship this Sunday.
Wow.
We go back to the tiny little office, which seems like it's getting more and more cramped every single time we're in there. And things seem to be going missing. At this point, Piper thinks that Raven is wearing his kilt. Raven insists that it is his kilt, and that there's only one way. There's only enough kilt for one man in this building, and that they've tried to put their feud in the past. They've tried to work together. They've done all the team building that they can do, and that this Sunday, to have one ruler of protest pro wrestling, it's going to be Raven versus Roddy Piper.
Yeah. In
a boundary boot camp match. So that involves bagpipes, that involves stuff from the boundary, it involves anything that these two men can bring to the ring to prove that they should be the ones in final control of protest pro wrestling. We will be leaving a Maniacs Mania, the biggest one, with one ruler of the company.
Wow. I love it. This is the match I've been waiting for.
That's the one. Yeah, it's the boiling point. It's been coming all along, right? Okay, here we go. Our main event for tonight. Lights go out. Lights come on. Taker's in that ring. He didn't even need an entrance. He's just there. Lightning bolt. That's what brought him to the ring.
Nice.
Then Booker T comes out. Booker T doesn't come out to any fanfare. Doesn't come out to any music. Booker T isn't G.I. Bro. Booker T is Booker T as himself. He doesn't have the nose strip. You know, he has the little old school nose strip, wearing the red Harlem Heat gear.
Yeah.
He's back to basics. He's got like the sweet hair, the sweet like flat top.
Mm-hmm. He's not King Booker.
No, he's not King Booker. He's gone through all of these. He started as King Booker. We've seen him as all of his different variations, and now he is his truest form. He is the bare bones Booker T, and he's coming in with one goal in mind, and that goal is to become our champion. He goes in there, Taker kind of smirks at him. Taker hasn't had to fight anyone much this time. He's been able to use his mind games, tries to get into the head of Booker T, drops to that one knee, rolls his eyes back into the head, gives them all of the demon stuff, all bouncing off of Booker T, because he has a new confidence, a new self-respect. He's laying the punches to Taker, throwing him all around the ring, hits the big spinning leg lariat on Taker. Taker's able to sidestep a splash in the corner, which gives him control for a second. Taker mounts the offense, hits some punches, hits the big snake eyes himself. Booker T rolls to the outside. Taker hits that over the top rope dive onto Booker T, throws Booker T in for the 2 count. 1, 2, grabs Booker T's arm, twists it up, goes up for the old school, slowly walking the ropes. Taker goes, and at that moment when Booker T looks his weakest, we see another vision. We see the vision of D'Lo Brown saying he believes in Booker T and to use his force and to use the power. He's able to Beal Taker off the top rope and slowly climb himself to the top rope for that big Harlem hangover on the Taker. 1, 2, and the lights go out. When the lights come back on, there is nothing in the ring but smoke and an angry Booker T. Taker is nowhere to be found. Booker T has done it all. He's tried. He's done the good. He's done the bad. He's livid. He's furious. You can see the steam start building up in his head. But then, at that moment, his new guidance, his new mentor comes down from above and says, it's D'Lo Brown saying, Booker, this is exactly the path you've been on. This is exactly the path I wanted for you. This is exactly the role that I knew the Undertaker would take. So this Sunday at the Maniacs Mania, what I have got for you, and I've already ran it through the office through both men, because he's an illuminating force. D'Lo can be everywhere at once at this moment. It's going to be Booker T versus the Undertaker, with no escape for the Undertaker because they're locked inside the Hell in the Cell. Sunday's main event, we're going to see Booker T without his mentor at his side because D'Lo is still in the hospital. Will he have the presence? Will he be able to manifest him there? Who knows? But Booker T versus the Undertaker with inside the Hell in the Cell for the Protest Pro Rest Heavyweight Champion of the World at a Maniacs Mania, the biggest one.
Wow. Huge main event.
Huge main event that's been boiling up to this point. We've seen D'Lo Brown. We don't exactly know what his game plan was. Now it seems like he's been trying to like build up Booker T to be the champion that we all need him to be, because he wasn't quite there from the beginning, but now he's a new man. He's the Booker T we want.
And so will the Undertaker's mystical powers not work in the confines of the cell? Are we hoping he can't transport himself out of the Hell in the Cell?
That's a good call, right? Can he? No, I don't think he can. You know what I mean? I think I think there's magic powers around.
Sort of a force field around the cell.
A force field cell, exactly. A force field magic breaking cell. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I like it. I'm into it. So so the main event, Booker T and the Undertaker, Hell in a Cell for the title.
Yep.
You got Roddy Piper versus Raven in some sort of...
It's a boundary boot camp match. Yep.
Great.
With bagpipes, totally legal. We've got the family food fight. That is the Dudleys versus the Harts versus the Hardys, where each member gets to bring their family's trademark dish to use as a weapon inside that very match. We've got the mid-card Masters match, where we've got Bull Mcconnell and Luther, who have formed an alliance, and we wonder whether that alliance is going to bring them like good luck or whether it's going to cost them, because China has one thing in mind, and that is becoming our mid-card Masters champion. And then we've got Abe Lincoln versus Buff Bagwell with a hat on the pole match. And we've got, for our tag team championships, we've got Bob Harley and Arn Anderson versus the Giant and Kane. Yep.
Huge.
Big matches.
Huge show.
And we still have our celebrities that will be appearing there that night. We will be, big night of celebrities as well. Yeah, so we'll have those surprises. They'll be doing some backstage interviews. They might be getting involved in some matches. There's all sorts of surprises chalked up for that night. Definitely worth your $6.95.
That's amazing. I can't wait, man. We got a couple huge cards. We've been building this up. We're 11 episodes deep into this thing. We've been building to this moment next week for our big final
climax. This is like, we've done all the necking, we've done all the kissing, we've done the sexting, we've done it all. Now it's time for the big one. I've got my satin sheets.
Sure. Hopefully you don't get any sort of performance anxiety.
No, I have anxiety all the time, but you know what? That anxiety is lying to me, and we will be able to get through this.
I think if you just have anxiety all the time, then it's fine, right? Because then it's just...
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's just your baseline.
Yeah, you can't sneak up on you or anything. Like,
actually, this is kind of a sad story, but kind of funny. One time I actually went to bed without anxiety, and that freaked me out. That in itself gave me anxiety, because I'm like, I'm not worried about anything. And I was like, that to me makes me wonder whether I'm dying. Am I dying? Is this what it feels like to die, not to worry about things?
Yeah. Or like you've already died and you're like this, you're sort of looking down on your body.
Exactly. Like, I guess they think this. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
So is D'Lo Brown sort of like a force ghost at this point? Like he's able to kind of project his image to Booker T?
Totally. Yeah, I would say I would compare him to like it's a combination of like the kid from Stranger Things from the first or second season when he was like lost in that like underworld, mixed with like an Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. So he's able to it's like astral projection, basically, is what he's able to do. Which we all knew D'Lo was capable of all along. So
we did. That's very cool. Awesome, man. Okay, great show. Next week we got the big one, Worlds Collide and Maniacs Mania, the biggest one. That's next week for our final episode. Very excited. Thank you for listening, and see you next week for the finale.
Bye, friends.